am still a little afraid of missing something if I forget that, as my father snobbishly suggested, and I snobbishly repeat, a sense of the fundamental decencies is parceled out unequally at birth. And after boasting this way of my tolerance, I come to the admission that it has a limit. Conduct may be founded on the hard rock or the wet marshes, but after a certain point I don't care what it's founded on. When I came back from the East last autumn, I felt that I wanted the world to be in uniform and at a sort of moral attention forever. I wanted no more riotous excursions with privileged glimpses into the human heart. Only Gatsby, the man who gives his name to this book, was exempt from my reaction. Gatsby, who represented everything for which I have an unaffected scorn. If personality is an unbroken series of successful gestures, then there was something gorgeous about him, some heightened sensitivity to the promises of life, as if he were related to one of those intricate machines that register earthquakes 10,000 miles away. This responsiveness had nothing to do with that flabby impressionability which is dignified under the name of the creative temperament. It was an extraordinary gift for hope, a romantic readiness such as I have never found in any other person, and which it is not likely I shall ever find again. No, Gatsby turned out all right at the end. It is what preyed on Gatsby, what foul dust floated in the wake of his dreams that temporarily closed out my interest in the abortive sorrows and short-winded elation. My family have been prominent.
Because now, like, the sharp reveal, and hearing the text again and understanding it better, I'm like, oh, I completely got it wrong. Like, even though Gatsby has certain attributes that he no longer seeks out, there's still a beauty about Gatsby that he admires. And so the harsh, like, flash felt so, like, shocking, and it felt more like more of a surprise compared to, and then it made me think back to the slow fade, and I was like, oh, okay, I see, yes. So really it depends on how you want the audience to feel, whether you want them to kind of feel like surprised and taken, like pulled the rug from underneath them, or if you kind of want it to be like, but Gatsby, and it's a revelation, but like an admiration. So the slow fade is kind of like a lifting onto a pedestal, whereas the harsh reveal feels like I'm being chased by the cops, but, you know. Yeah, one feels more criminal, the other one feels more uplifted.
Okay, so, yeah. I think I preferred the slow one from here.
Yeah.
Just because it,
Rises.
it slowly draws your attention, because I noticed that you weren't listening while looking that way. You were sat on the chair, looking around, like feeling the light on yourself.
Exactly, yeah.
And so it just gradually caught your eye to look over there and then notice that you're being lit.
Yeah.
I think the sharp one, even if I do want the audience to feel like they're being watched and examined and judged, it's just a bit too on the nose, maybe.
Yeah. What if, could intensity be a thing that you play around with?
Yeah.
Maybe not so much the intensity of this line, but maybe the intensity of this one? I don't know if, so how is it that you want the audience to feel throughout the piece? Like, could you walk me, or throughout this section, sorry, like, could you walk me through it, like, ideally?
I think at the beginning, it should be this sort of really attentive listening.
Okay.
But then, if possible, starting to question the voice.
Okay.
So not listening, but not believing.
Okay.
Which is a
No, I think
difficult thing to play with, I think.
I think you could totally nail that. What if you started with a either really whatever intensity this is, like if you could amp it up, and like either start with a narrow beam and hold it for a second, and then open it up, and then he starts talking, and then like we talked about, like the discussion with the voice and the changing of colors
Yeah.
and intensity, and that could add to whether he's reliable or not, because like while he flickers, as he speaks, there could be moments of like disruption to what he's saying and changes of color or fluidity. That could make the person who's experiencing it kind of start to question the reliability of the light.
Okay, so it's breaking up the steadiness that I had it in
It could,
to
yeah.
sort of,
Yeah.
even if it's just sort of flickering a bit faster at points that in the text that I wanted them to
Exactly.
think, oh, but
And it could be like on the most unsuspecting part, you know? Instead of when he's naturally getting angry vocally, it could be elsewhere when he's seemingly super calm. And like changes in color, maybe it could kind of like move around a little bit, I don't know. And then yeah, with the slow fade, that again was really good because it draws your attention slowly. And I wonder how that would be, yeah. Oh, hello.
I'm just going to put this into cues and then hope that it can work through them.
Whoa.
Okay.
And if you want to get the audience's attention first, either spot wide and then it narrows, or spot narrow and then it widens, and then he starts to speak.
Okay.
But like really hold their attention, because they might be doing the thing that I did, where I'm like, ooh, I'm lit now. This is cool, look at me.
Yeah.
So kind of like, oh, this is a wide thing, okay, something's gonna happen, and then when it comes in, and then he starts speaking, I'm like, gotta pay attention, this is serious business.
Let's try that.